I was reborn at the exact moment I picked up the wrong glass. The one meant for my boss. This time, I didn't take the wrong glass. I watched him drink it down, then dial the woman he truly loved, Celeste. In my past life, I was Dominic's secretary and I fell in love with him. When the drug hit my system, I didn't care that he needed to get to Celeste. I grabbed his belt and made him stay. Not long after I found out I was pregnant, Dominic was forced to marry me. But on the day I went into labor with complications, he got the news Celeste had thrown herself off a building, destroyed by grief, stormed into the delivery room, and sent the doctors away. Then he watched me die. The last thing I heard was his voice. If you hadn't gotten pregnant, I never would have been forced to marry you. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day I was poisoned. Iris, call Celeste right now. Hearing that familiar command again, I jolted awake. I've been reborn. Without hesitation, I grabbed my phone and dialed Celeste's number. Dominic's face was flushed, his eyes burning with desire. The drug was kicking in. This time, I watched coldly as he downed the entire glass. As the drug began to take hold, and he looked at me with struggling, hazy eyes, I quickly finished dialing Celeste. Dominic, just hang on. Celeste will be here in 10 minutes. Moment I closed the door behind me, I thought I heard him call my name, but I pretended not to hear. I shut the door firmly and waited at the end of the hallway. 10 minutes later, Celeste arrived in a rush. She looked at me with a complicated expression. When she saw that my clothes were intact, and I was perfectly composed, relief washed over her face for pushing open the door. She glanced at me. You can leave now. I don't need you here. I turned and took the elevator down, called a car, and went back to my apartment. The next morning, Celeste appeared in the executive office. Dominic lifted his coffee, took a sip, then casually announced to the core management team, "From now on, Celeste is my fiancée. She's also an important future partner for the company. You will all treat her with respect." And he looked directly at me, pointing with his pen, "Especially you, Iris." I nodded blankly. Celeste smirked, flashing me a triumphant smile. I pretended not to notice. I gathered the meeting notes and started to leave the office. But just as I stood up, I heard Celeste's voice, soft and wounded. "Dominic, does Iris not want me involved in company affairs? I know how important she is to you. If she's unhappy with me being here, maybe I shouldn't come to the office anymore." Her eyes glistened with tears. She looked as pitiful as possible. Dominic frowned. Before he could say anything, I replied, "Of course not. But if you're not satisfied with me, I'll make sure to stay out of your sight from now on." Without waiting for Dominic's reaction, I walked straight back to my office. Half an hour later, my office door swung open, and there he was, Dominic, staring at me with dark, stormy eyes. Instinctively, I wanted to close the door. I didn't want to deal with him. But Dominic blocked it with his arm, frowning as he looked at me. "Are you avoiding me?" "Why?" He leaned in closer, studying my face. "Are you upset because of Celeste?" I quickly shook my head. "No. I'm happy for you. You and Celeste finally get to be together." His eyes flickered with something unreadable. He seemed dissatisfied with my answer. "Is that the truth, or are you just being passive-aggressive?" Then he scoffed. "Iris, don't tell me you still haven't gotten over me. 3 years ago at the company party, you kissed me when you were drunk. You think I didn't notice? The smartest thing you ever did was never confess. Because if you had, I would have laughed in your face. Laughed at how pathetic and delusional you are." He chuckled to himself, then walked over to my desk and yanked open the bottom drawer. He grabbed a thick stack of printed journal pages and scattered them across the floor. Stepping on them, he leaned down close to my ear, his voice low. "I came here to tell you something. Yesterday when I drank that wine, I saw the look in your eyes. You wanted to be the one to help me, didn't you? Thank God you didn't. Because if you had, I would have been disgusted for the rest of my life. You're not worth it." My heart clenched painfully. Even though I decided not to love him in this life, hearing those cruel words still hurt. After warning me to stay away from him and not make Celeste uncomfortable, Dominic slammed the door and left. I didn't want to be in their way anymore. I had to go out and finalize my transfer paperwork anyway, so I packed up and left that night. I deliberately waited until almost 10 p.m. to return to the office, to pick up some things. The moment I stepped into my office, I noticed something was wrong. My custom ergonomic chair gone. Then I saw it. Celeste had posted on social media a selfie of herself sitting in a luxurious office chair. The caption read, "I just mentioned my back was sore, and he immediately gave me the best chair in the whole company. This is why it's so important to find a man with power, money and thoughtfulness." He'd taken the chair Dominic had custom ordered for me. He used to be so good to me. And now Celeste made one offhand comment. And Dominic didn't even bother telling me. Before he had my chair taken away. Hearing me return, Dominic stood in my doorway and said, coolly, "Celeste has back problems. I gave her your chair. Your injury's healed anyway. Any chair will do for you now." I didn't even look up. I murmured. Dominic's frown deepened, stared at me intently. "Are you plotting something? I'm warning you, if you dare do anything to Celeste, I'll make sure you never work in this industry again." I finally looked up. "I'm not trying to do anything to anyone. I just want to be left alone. And isn't this what you always wanted? For me to be more professional? You should be happy." Dominic pressed his lips together. Then almost like a sulking child, he repeated, "Fine. Fine. Iris. You're just great." He slammed the door on his way back to his office. A month later, Celeste announced she was pregnant. Dominic was over the moon. He wanted to tell the whole world. The wedding was moved up immediately. Everyone in the company was gossiping about the upcoming ceremony. In this life, the one who got pregnant was the woman he actually loved. And I decided to let them have it. As soon as my transfer paperwork was finalized, I booked a flight to Italy scheduled for the same day as their wedding. Dominic finally broke and came to find me. He waited until Celeste wasn't at the office and pushed open my door. He pulled out his phone, opened an email from HR, and shoved it in my face. You applied for an overseas transfer? What? You're so devastated by my wedding that you're running away? My heart skipped, but his next words eased my tension a little. When I didn't answer, his tone turned cold. Iris, are you done with this tantrum? Ever since Celeste started coming to the office, you've been avoiding me, but I'm going to marry her eventually. So what? You're planning to keep avoiding me even after the wedding? I shook my head. Dominic, I think you misunderstand. I only see you as the boss who mentored me. I'm grateful. That's all. He laughed. I just told the funniest joke. Grateful? Iris, everyone in this company knows you're hopelessly in love with me. Who's going to believe you're just grateful? Do you even believe that yourself? He glanced at the bookshelf in my office and smirked. All these gifts I gave you over the years. You've kept them so carefully and you're telling me you don't love me? He walked over and picked up the items one by one. A limited edition pen, a brooch, a watch. Then he said seriously, you should put all this stuff away. I'm about to marry Celeste. You need to stop holding on to these ridiculous fantasies. I said, and immediately started packing everything into a cardboard box. I was planning to get rid of it all before leaving the country anyway. Might as well do it now. Seeing how calm I was, Dominic frowned and grabbed my wrist. Iris, can't you be more careful? Look, you bent the nib on this pen. I glanced at the luxury pen in his hand. It was the first gift he ever gave me. The day I passed my probation and officially became his secretary. For years, I treasured it. I wouldn't let anyone else even touch it. But now I just tossed it carelessly into a box. And Dominic couldn't stand it. Iris, you're clearly devastated about me marrying Celeste. You're running away. But now you're pretending you don't love me anymore. He exhaled sharply. Fine. Maybe it's good for you to cool off overseas. Celeste is in a delicate stage of her pregnancy. It's better if you're not around. Anyway, Dominic pulled out his phone and transferred $10,000 to me. Take this. Get yourself settled in Italy after work. Travel around a bit. Take a month to clear your head. Bye. Then Celeste's pregnancy will be stable. He looked at me meaningfully. Adjust your mindset while you're abroad. Don't miss me too much. I'm going to be a married man. You need to get used to it. Otherwise, working together later is going to be awkward. Dominic gave me a few more instructions about the overseas assignment, but he didn't know I'd been reborn. And this time I was really leaving. On Dominic's wedding day, both the hotel and the company headquarters were bustling. Early in the morning, while everyone was focused on the ceremony, I quietly grabbed my suitcase, got in a cab and headed straight to. Dominic had changed into his wedding suit, but he didn't leave with the groomsmen to pick up the bride. For some reason, he found himself walking to Iris's office, wanted to see her one last time. But when he got there, the office was empty. All her personal belongings were gone. The only thing left on her desk was a standard resignation handover checklist. His heart skipped a beat. He assumed she must have gone to the wedding venue early to help with preparations. That thought calmed him down enough to go pick up Celeste. He was beyond excited. Today he was finally marrying the love of his life, and soon they'd have a child together. Just thinking about it made him smile uncontrollably. The moment he saw Celeste, the wedding march swelled, filling the ornate cathedral. The doors opened and Celeste appeared, bathed in a spotlight that made her diamond-encrusted gown sparkle like fresh snow. She looked beautiful, undeniably so. But as she walked down the aisle, her eyes locking onto Dominic's, he felt a strange, cold itch at the back of his neck. He forced a smile, the kind he used for shareholders when stock prices dipped. His mind, however, was drifting. He had checked his phone 3 times before walking to the altar. No message from Iris. No congratulations. No, I'm boarding now, have a good life. Just radio silence. It was annoying. It was typical Iris, trying to make him worry, trying to ruin his big moment by being absent. She'll be back, he told himself as the priest began to speak. She's probably crying in an airport lounge in Milan right now, regretting everything. Give it a week. She'll crawl back. I do, Celeste said softly, a tear slipping down her cheek. Dominic repeated. But when he looked out into the crowd of applauding guests, his eyes instinctively went to the 3rd row, seat 4. That was where the executive assistants and senior staff sat. He saw the CFO, the HR director, and the marketing lead. And between them, an empty chair. Iris hadn't just skipped the ceremony. She hadn't even sent a replacement. For the first time in 5 years, there was a gap in Dominic's life that Iris hadn't filled. The reception was a blur of toasts and champagne. Dominic drank more than usual. Every time his phone buzzed, he snatched it from his pocket, ignoring Celeste's tightening grip on his arm. Is there a crisis at the office, Dom? Celeste whispered, her smile strained as a photographer snapped their picture. You seem distracted. Just work, he muttered, shoving the phone back. It was just a spam email. Later that night, while Celeste was in the bathroom preparing for their wedding night, Dominic finally sat down on the edge of the hotel bed and opened the email from HR he had glanced at earlier. He wanted to see the details of Iris's transfer, to see which branch in Italy she was technically assigned to, so he could send her a work email on Monday demanding a report. He opened the attachment. It wasn't a transfer confirmation. Subject: resignation. Iris Vane. To Human Resources and Mr. Dominic Vance. Please accept this letter as formal notification that I am resigning from my position, effective immediately. As per my contract, I have foregone my severance package in exchange for an immediate release from my non-compete clause. All company assets, including the apartment keys and access cards, have been left on my desk. I wish the company all the best. Regards, Iris. Dominic stared at the screen. The letters blurred. Resigning? She wasn't on a transfer. She hadn't gone to the Italian branch to cool off. She had quit. She had severed the tie. Dominic. Celeste emerged from the bathroom in sheer silk, looking expectant. Dominic stood up so abruptly the bedside lamp rattled. She quit. Who? Iris. She didn't transfer. She resigned. She's gone. Celeste's face hardened for a split second before she masked it with concern. She walked over, placing a hand on his chest. Honey, isn't that a good thing? She was clearly obsessed with you. It was unhealthy. Now we can start fresh without her looming over us. You don't understand, Dominic snapped, pulling away from her. She handles the Anderson accounts. She has the encryption keys for the private archives. She can't just leave. She's just a secretary, Dominic. Celeste's voice rose shrill and piercing. You're the CEO. Hire another one. Why are you ruining our wedding night talking about her? Dominic looked at his new wife. In the harsh hotel lighting, she didn't look like the fragile, angelic woman he had protected for years. She looked annoyed, petty. He felt a sudden, terrifying hollow in his chest. I have to make a call, he said. Dominic, if you walk out that door. He walked out. He stood on the balcony of the honeymoon suite and dialed Iris's number. The number you have dialed is no longer in service. He dialed again. Same result. He threw the phone against the railing. It didn't break, but the screen cracked, a spiderweb fracture running right down the middle. 3 months later, the Vance Corporation was bleeding. Not fatally, not yet, but it was a slow septic seep. Where is the contract for the merger? Dominic roared, slamming his hand on the mahogany desk. His new assistant, a fresh graduate named Jessica who was terrified of him, stammered. I checked the digital archives, sir. I can't find the revised version. Iris always kept the revised versions in the blue folder, not the digital archive. I don't know where the blue folder is. Dominic pinched the bridge of his nose. The headache was constant now. Since Iris left, the office had descended into subtle chaos. Meetings were double booked. Coffee was cold or the wrong blend. Important clients were neglected because Iris wasn't there to remember their wives' birthdays or send the customary gifts. He had hired 3 different assistants. None lasted more than a month. And Celeste. Dominic, I need you to sign this. Celeste waltzed into his office without knocking. She was showing already, her belly a small bump. She used her pregnancy like a shield and a weapon. What is it? He asked wearily. The renovation budget for the nursery. And the baby moon. I was thinking the Maldives. Dominic glanced at the paper. Celeste, this is $50,000 for curtains. We are in the middle of a liquidity crunch. So, she pouted, sitting in the ergonomic chair. Iris's chair that she had demanded. You're the CEO. Just move some money around. Unless you don't care about our child. Stop guilt-tripping me. I wouldn't have to if you weren't so miserable. She stood up, angry tears welling in her eyes. Ever since that woman left, you've been a ghost. You don't touch me. You stay at the office until midnight. Are you regretting it? Are you wishing you were with her? Don't be ridiculous, Dominic scoffed, though the denial felt like ash in his mouth. I just hate incompetence. And since she left, everyone around me is incompetent. Maybe you're just realizing she did all your work for you, Celeste spat out, hitting a nerve so raw Dominic flinched. That afternoon, Dominic called the private investigator he had hired weeks ago. Tell me you found her. It's difficult, Mr. Vance, the investigator said. She flew to Rome, then took a train to Florence. After that, the trail goes cold. She bought a burner phone. She's using cash. It's like she anticipated being followed. Keep looking. I don't care what it costs. Dominic hung up. He opened the bottom drawer of his desk. The box of gifts Iris had returned was still there. The bent pen. The watch. He picked up the pen. He remembered the day he gave it to her. She had been so young, so eager to please. She had looked at him with such undisguised adoration. You wanted to be the one to help me, didn't you? He had sneered at her. I would have been disgusted. He closed his eyes. The memory of the night he was poisoned replayed in his mind. But now, without his ego protecting him, the scene shifted. He remembered Iris's coldness. The way she had watched him drink the drug without flinching. She hadn't been playing hard to get. She hadn't been suppressing her love. She had looked at him like he was a stranger. She knew, he realized with a sudden jolt. She didn't just fall out of love. She despised me. Florence, Italy. The air smelled of roasted coffee and old stone. Iris sat at a small outdoor table, a sketchbook open in front of her. She wasn't a secretary anymore. She wasn't an assistant. In this life, she had remembered her original dream. The one she had buried to serve Dominic. Architecture. Using the money Dominic had arrogantly thrown at her, plus her own savings, she had enrolled in a restoration program. It was hard work. Her hands were rough from handling stone and plaster, her nails cut short. She wore linen shirts and jeans, her hair tied back in a messy bun. She She had never felt more beautiful. Iris, a voice called out. She looked up. Julian, her mentor, was approaching. He was a man in his 40s, with salt and pepper hair and eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He was kind, patient, and brilliant, everything Dominic wasn't. The restoration plans for the Villa Rossi, Julian said, sitting down. The client loves your concept. They want to meet you. Really? Iris beamed. I thought it was too modern. It's perfect. You have a gift, Iris. You see the structure of things, the bones. You know how to save what's broken without destroying its history. He reached out and covered her hand with his. It wasn't a possessive gesture, just a warm, congratulatory one. Iris didn't pull away. For the first time in 2 lifetimes, she didn't flinch at a man's touch. You've been different lately, Julian noted softly. Lighter. I feel lighter, she admitted. She took a sip of her espresso. I used to carry a lot of weight. Dead weight. And now I'm just me. She looked out at the Arno River. Somewhere, thousands of miles away. Dominic was probably screaming at an intern. Celeste was probably buying things she didn't need to fill the void in her soul. Iris smiled and it didn't reach her eyes, because she wasn't thinking about them at all. They were just characters in a book she had finished reading. 2 years passed. The Vance Corporation stock had plummeted 40%. The board of directors was restless. Dominic sat in the conference room, listening to the drone of complaints. He looked 5 years older. There were gray hairs at his temples. His suit, usually impeccable, was slightly rumpled. The European market is killing us, a board member said. We lost the bid for the Milano complex. Who did we lose it to? Dominic asked, rubbing his temples. A boutique firm based in Florence. Veritas Architecture. Apparently, their lead designer pitched a concept that blew ours out of the water. The client said our proposal lacked soul. Dominic stood up. I need a drink. He went back to his office. It was silent. His phone buzzed. A text from Celeste. You missed the pediatrician appointment again. Also, the nanny quit. You need to come home now. He ignored it. He went home 3 hours later. The penthouse, once pristine, was cluttered with toys and shopping bags. Celeste was sitting on the couch, scrolling through her phone, a glass of wine in hand. The baby, a toddler now, was crying in the other room with the new nanny. You're late, Celeste said without looking up. I was working, trying to save the company so you can keep buying, whatever this is. He kicked a shopping bag. Don't you dare talk to me like that. Celeste stood up. Her beauty had hardened into something brittle. Her eyes were always anxious, searching for validation he could no longer give. I am your wife. Are you? Dominic laughed bitterly. Because it feels like you're just a leech. You loved me. You told me you loved me more than anything. I loved the idea of you, Dominic shouted, the truth finally exploding out of him. I loved that you were unattainable. I loved that you were soft. But you're not soft, Celeste. You're selfish. You're empty. And you're boring. Celeste gasped, her face turning pale. You miss her. That's what this is. You still miss that secretary. Her name was Iris, Dominic said, his voice dropping to a whisper. And she wasn't just a secretary. She was the only person who actually saw me. And I treated her like garbage for you. Get out, Celeste screamed, throwing her wine glass at him. It shattered against the wall, red liquid dripping down like blood. Dominic walked out. He drove to the office building. He took the elevator up to the empty floor. He sat in Iris's old office. It had been converted into a storage room, but he had ordered it cleared out last week. He sat in the dark. Iris, he whispered to the silence. Where are you? The International Design Summit was held in New York. It was a black tie affair, the convergence of the business and creative worlds. Dominic didn't want to go, but the board insisted. They needed new partners. He entered the ballroom, a glass of scotch already in his hand. He scanned the room with bored, dead eyes. And then he stopped. Across the room, standing near the balcony doors, was a woman in a backless emerald gown. Her hair was loose, cascading down her back in waves. She was laughing at something a man next to her said. Dominic's heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird. It was her. But it wasn't the Iris he remembered. The Iris he knew wore stiff gray suits, kept her head down, and held a notepad. This woman held a champagne flute with elegance. Her posture was regal. She radiated a magnetic confidence that drew eyes from all over the room. The man next to her, Julian, placed a hand on the small of her back, and she leaned into him comfortably. Dominic felt a surge of jealousy so potent it nearly blinded him. He set his glass down and marched across the room. Iris. The name came out like a growl. She stopped laughing. She turned slowly. When her eyes met his, there was no fear. No longing. No casi decide. There was just polite recognition. Mr. Vance, she said, her voice smooth and cool. It's been a long time. Mr. Vance. He stepped closer, invading her space. That's what you call me? After running away? After 3 years of hiding? I didn't hide, Dominic, she said calmly. I moved. There's a difference. You left me in ruins, he hissed. The company is a mess. Celeste is. He stopped. He didn't want to talk about Celeste. Why did you do it? Why did you leave on my wedding day? Iris tilted her head. Because my job was done. And I had a plane to catch. You loved me, he said, desperate to see a crack in her armor. You were obsessed with me. Don't deny it. Iris looked at him, really looked at him. She saw the lines of stress, the desperation, the arrogance that had curdled into bitterness. In another life maybe, she said enigmatically. But in this one? No, Dominique. I never loved you. I pitied you. Dominic recoiled as if slapped. Bullshit. You kissed me at the party 3 years ago. I was drunk, she shrugged. And you were there. Don't flatter yourself. Julian stepped forward, his expression protective. Is there a problem here, Mr. Vance? Stay out of this, Dominic snapped. He grabbed Iris's wrist. We need to talk. Privately. Iris looked down at his hand on her wrist. Then she looked up, her eyes turning icy. Let go. Iris. I said let go. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried a weight of authority he had never heard before. People were starting to stare. Dominic released her. I am a partner at Veritas, Iris said, adjusting her bracelet. I am here to accept an award for the Milano restoration. I am not your secretary. I am not your subordinate. If you touch me again, I will have security remove you. Iris, please, Dominic's voice cracked. The anger drained away, leaving only naked pleading. I made a mistake. Celeste, she's not. I need you. The company needs you. Iris laughed softly. It was a dry, hollow sound. You need a manager, Dominic. Hire a headhunter. Excuse me. She took Julian's arm and walked away. She didn't look back. Not once. Dominic watched her accept the award. He watched her speech, articulate, passionate, brilliant. He saw the way the room commanded her respect. He realized then that he had never really known her. He had only known the reflection of himself he saw in her eyes. He left the gala early. When he returned to the penthouse, the police were there. Mr. Vance, an officer asked. What's happened? We're arresting your wife, Celeste Vance, on charges of corporate espionage and embezzlement. Dominic stood frozen. What? She's been selling insider trading secrets to your competitors for the last 18 months. We have the bank transfers. Dominic looked at Celeste. She was in handcuffs, crying, screaming that it was a mistake, that she only did it because Dominic wouldn't give her enough money. He felt nothing. No anger. No vitrail. Just exhaustion. Take her, Dominic said quietly. Dominic. Do something. Celeste shrieked as they dragged her out. He closed the door. 6 months later, Dominic sat in his office. The company was being liquidated. The scandal with Celeste, combined with the years of mismanagement, had been the final nail in the coffin. The movers were taking the furniture. He sat on the floor, holding a bottle of cheap whiskey. The door opened. He looked up, a flicker of hope in his chest. Iris. But it wasn't Iris. It was just the building manager. Mr. Vance? We need the keys. You have to vacate the premises. Right, Dominic said. He stood up, swaying slightly. He walked to the window and looked out at the city. It was raining. He took out his phone. He had one photo of Iris. It was from a company retreat years ago, in the background of a group shot. She was looking at him, smiling. He deleted it. He realized now that his punishment wasn't that he had lost the company, or that his marriage was a lie. His punishment was the memory of that day in the hospital, in the timeline he didn't know existed, the timeline where she died loving him. And in this life, he had to live knowing that when she looked at him, she felt absolutely nothing. He put the phone in his pocket, buttoned his coat, and walked out of the office for the last time. Epilogue. Italy 5 years later. The sun was setting over the Tuscan hills. A large table was set in the garden of a restored farmhouse. Iris placed a bowl of pasta in the center of the table. Julian was pouring wine. 2 children, a boy and a girl, were chasing a dog through the olive groves. The letter came today, Julian said, handing her an envelope. Iris wiped her hands on her apron and took it. It was from a law firm in New York. Dear Ms. Vane, we regret to inform you of the passing of Mr. Dominic Vance. He was found in his apartment 2 weeks ago. Cause of death was ruled as accidental overdose of alcohol and sleeping pills. In his will, he left everything to you. The remaining assets are minimal, mostly personal effects and a letter. Iris stared at the paper. Iris? Julian asked gently. Are you okay? She looked up at the man she loved, truly loved, in a way that was healthy and safe and equal. She looked at the home she had built. I'm fine, she said. She opened the second envelope, the one in Dominic's handwriting. It was just one line. I should have drunk the poison in both lives. Iris stared at the words. She felt a brief, fleeting pang of pity, not for the man he was, but for the wasted potential of a human being who never learned how to love anything other than himself. She folded the letter. She didn't keep it. She walked over to the outdoor fire pit where they were burning dried olive branches. She tossed the letter into the flames. She watched the paper curl and blacken, the ink disappearing into ash. Iris, come eat. Julian called out, laughing as the dog stole a piece of bread. Coming, she called back. She turned her back on the fire, on the ashes, and on Dominic Vance. She walked toward the light, the laughter, and the life she had chosen. She didn't look back.